one of the things I hear most at the moment, and I've been promising a second video about this specifically, and I will get that out this week, is that Joey Porter is going to be the cornerback pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 17. Now, it's ridiculous because he could go before that. It's also ridiculous he could go after it. It's also ridiculous in a way because I'm hearing Devin Witherspoon is falling down the draft like order, which is interesting because I agree with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks on this, particularly DJ. Like, I think he's probably, apart from Gonzalez, and it's kind of pick your poison, the best overall cornerback prospect in this draft. I have concerns about bringing another Witherspoon in because I think they're going to get rid of the other one, but I like him. But I guess overall, right now, Mark, I actually did a quick mock before the show to sort of talk about a few names that have been discussed around with the Steelers and what they could mean and what a Steelers draft could look like after free agency. But which position would you most like them today? Obviously, like in context of today's date and where we fit in the timeline, which position, and is there a player you want them to draft at pick 17?
Well, for me, I've kind of got two answers. For me, it's kind of like I kind of see the need there at cornerback, and I wouldn't mind seeing them go and get a top corner. And I'll be honest, I don't really care who it is. I trust the organization. If they go that way and they go get corner, if it's Porter or the other blokes you talked about, fair enough, bring him in. And the minute we sign him, I'll go and look at highlights. However, on the other side that I kind of think of now is Omar Khan and the fellas in the organization have really going into the trenches. So there could be an opportunity where they may go and get left tackle or something like that, or they may go and get defensive tackle. Depends how it all pans out. So they might be trying to beef up those two sides of the football and then focus on corner after that. So
well, I'm going to pick that up. You read my mind exactly what I'm thinking. Right now, I want to see them draft, and what I think most likely, even if Joey Porter's on the board, they're drafting Brian Breesy out of Clemson, 17. Mm-hmm. And when we go through the depth chart, I think people start to realize why that's important. I did a mock. Brian Breesy went top 15. I did a mock on, I'm not going to show just for internet connection. So I did the mock. I drafted Devin Witherspoon, who was there. Joe Porter got drafted next pick by the Lions. And almost every mock draft will have Devin Witherspoon before Joe Porter anyway. I drafted DeJuan Jones, the big 6'8" guy that the Steelers apparently liked and met with the Super Bowl, like they met with every other player at the Super Bowl, out of Ohio State, the 6'8", 360-pound guy. Then I drafted Darnell Washington, who could be a first rounder. He could be a second rounder out of Georgia. He's like a 270-pound tight end. I then drafted Mazai Smith, the strong guy, defensive tackle out of Michigan, who the Steelers apparently met with at the Michigan Pro Day, but of course they would because he's one of the three best prospects coming out of Michigan, apart from the center. And of course, Luke Schumacher, who's starting to rocket up people's draft knowledge. I then drafted KJ Henry out of Clemson as well, who I think is an option for the Steelers. He's about 6'5", 255 pounds. So he's another big guy, rusher there. Might be preferred in some 4-3 teams, but I actually think he could be a really good fit for the Steelers. Then I drafted Keandre Coburn, who we talked about before, cool defensive tackle out of Texas, run stuffer. And then I drafted Davis Allen as well, who's a tight end I really like out of Clemson, who on a Pro Football Network mock draft is ranked 240. I think he's a top 180 player. I really, really like him. Now, notice I picked 3 guys from Clemson. Obviously, the Steelers, I only picked 2 because I do think the Steelers, outside of this draft, I couldn't pick Brian Breesy. But I do think the Steelers like what they see out of the Clemson guys, and I think this Clemson team was a little bit underrated. But going back to what you were saying there, I agree with you, and I think the trenches has got to be where it starts. And it's not just that's what Andy Weidel did at the Eagles. It's where the Steelers have gaps, or it's where the Steelers have older guys, not necessarily on the offensive line, but they've lost a lot of depth. And then Cam Hayward, they're going to lose Alawalu probably to a retirement. They're slashed, and he's not worth the money to bring back in. Cam Hayward, I mean, you want to see 4 years out of him when we did one of our last shows, or at least 3.
I hope so.
I'd love to see 3. I think 2 is realistic. We've got to get younger there. And to give him longevity, we've got to get people that can take some snaps away. And when we pull up a draft or I want to say draft because it's not for the draft, but we'll pull up a dummy depth chart in a moment, and as you'll see, like it's a big gap. So I think I guess, Mark, how do you think Steelers fans are going to react when the draft seems really boring, and we're just drafting defensive tackles and offensive tackles and tight ends, and
I think offensive wise, I think to get another guy there would be smart, but I kind of see there is a bigger need right now at the nose tackle position, or where Montravius Adams plays right now, or Tyson Oluolu. I think he will be retiring, but you've signed now Ogunjobi to a 3-year deal. He's on one side, you have Cam on the other, but you're right. You need to get younger at that position, right? And maybe there's a reason why they went and got Patrick Peterson to be a stopgap, to be corner, to maybe hold it for a little bit. But I think the rage right now is cornerback for sure, and the Porter stuff to be linked to that scenario. There's also still a rage too around. I don't really understand why this is still a rage, but there's still a rage around getting Addison really high too to link up with Kenny. But I think we have a lot of receivers.
But see, I don't understand the Addison thing. Unless you move Deontay Johnson, you don't get Addison. Addison does not feel what you need on the Steelers. To me, the Steelers need another big body. We need a big body receiver. We need a guy who's like 6'4", 6'5". Like I want a big.
Well, I got a theory too, because in that same counterpart, there are a lot of Steelers fans. Look, there's so many of us around the world, right? We'll have our own opinions. When we get that, we're all
we love that too. It gives something to talk about.
Here's the thing: I do kind of find it funny though. They were linking Adam Thielen to come to the Steelers, and now he's signed with the Panthers. I was saying, bring in a veteran receiver. And in my mind, I was like, we already have a veteran receiver with Deontay Johnson. Why would you want to bring in Adam Thielen? Now, the same kind of thing to me. Why would you want to go up there and get 17 to get Addison? I understand the link between Addison and Kenny Pickett. I get that. But there are more pressing needs, and bringing in a receiver who would join the list of what Deontay, George, Miller, Austin, 4 guys to be 5. That to me is not really a need. And will the team even want to throw the ball that much? They're trying to run the ball. So I more or less see like there's a massive hole now with the tackle, the defensive tackle.
But that's 100% it. You've hit the nail on the head again. Like, yeah, can you hear me?
I'm pretty good, mate. I'm pretty good. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Sorry, I was trying to load up something that was very internet heavy, but I'm not going to go down that path. It's just going to send the show haywire. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Why get another receiver when you're going to run the football?
Mm-hmm.
But that's what why not go get you need a tight end. You need someone to block.
Yes. But that's what I see around the internet. Most of it's like it's Twitter, it's Facebook. It's like get Addison. But there's nothing real behind that. Explain your theory behind that, right? And I wouldn't mind seeing it. Two blokes who work together, pass together at the same point. But it doesn't feel like this team needs it right now. They don't need a receiver at number 17 or where it's going to fall. So I don't think it's going to happen. And I do think that I do want to see a cornerback really high to get that guy to lock down and be opposite Peterson, and Peterson can help him out and be the veteran guy. At the same time, there's a big hole at the nose tackle position. And like you said, defensive line, they're getting older in the tooth. So you need to get someone high to bring that in, and also bring back that physicality on the line. Like we want to see that. So I could see him go and get a high prize defensive tackle at 17. The best part is, though, we have 2 big high picks at 17 and 32, that whatever does happen on the day, and you've probably done this a few times where different scenarios fall out different ways. We get the corner, you get the nose tackle, you get the left tackle, or something like that, right? And they've also made big moves too. They made big moves bringing in 2 blokes on the offensive line to help that for depth or challenge to be a starter. So, yeah, I don't really understand the take for Addison coming over, just like I didn't understand the take. So many people were saying, bring in Thielen, he's a veteran guy. It was never going to happen. Right? It was just never going to happen, right? He went to another team. There's no point to bring him in.
So my thing is, unless Broderick Jones or I'm not a fan of Paris Johnson, but he's meant to be pretty good. Unless Broderick Jones is available at 17, you pick one of the best defensive players on the board. But yeah, to me, I don't think I'd rather trade back than draft. Unless it's Gonzalez or Witherspoon, and even then with Witherspoon, I'm pretty 50-50 on it. I don't want cornerback at 17 because I don't think it's as much as a need.
Where's your head? Is your head now, after all these moves, heading towards that defensive line at that position? Is that where that's where I'm getting the feel from?
Pretty much, because It's expensive to get talent there. Like, look at Javon Hargrave.
Yeah, it's true. That's very true.
Like, it's expensive to get talent there. Fletcher Cox went back on $13 million. That's just money we don't have to worry about. And it means that we can pay Highsmith and have TJ and have Minka. And you know what I mean? Like, we can keep the band together. And
what do you do? It's a 4-year rookie deal, right?
The first round, you've got the 5 years, and then you can tag him. You can basically say, this guy's going to be my defensive tackle for 6 years.
You said it was Brian Breesy, right? That was the one that may fall.
That's the one, Brian Breesy. That's the guy.
If he falls to 17, that's the one where the Steelers lock him up, and we got him for 5 years, right?
That guy's mentally tough too, man. Yeah. That guy had 3 injuries last year, and 3 injuries, like a kidney infection. He had strep throat, which knocks you really around. His sister passed away from cancer. He dealt with all those things. He had an awesome combine. He's a really a really friendly guy, down to earth. Like, I don't know how you. I don't know. I don't care about the Joey Porter link to the Steelers. I care about guys that are going to be good Steelers. As I said, I've got a video coming because it's not that I hate Joey Porter or anything like it. If it was at pick 32, maybe go for it. But I've got questions about his ability to cover. Maybe I don't need the video. I'll just say it here. Like, I have questions about his ability to cover. He didn't do certain things at the combine that I thought he should have done. He has a bunch of penalties because he's a big guy, but he's not quick twitch. You need to be quick twitch in the NFL. I think he's a deep man guy. I think the Steelers have got that covered, to be honest. And I don't think, if he can't do some of the drills because he's not quick twitch at the combine, I got questions about how he can cover in zone.
You know the best point to me that you brought up, and I don't know if the listeners around the world too think there's the best point you brought up to me is that you said that Javon Hargraves and those guys in the middle are getting high-priced contracts.
100%.
They're big money. So if you get a young bloke at the rookie at that position at 17, that says to me you've got that guy for 5 years, 4 years, whatever it is, and then you're on the outside.
It's the same knowledge as Broderick Jones, though. Like, when you don't have to pay a left tackle. Like, we go to air overnight for us. It's midday right now. We're recording. Laramie Tunsil signed a 3-year, 12 p.m. on a Monday afternoon for us. Larry Tunsil signed a 3-year, $75 million deal, $25 million a year. Orlando Brown signed a 4-year, was it $84 million or something like that?
Right.
Or maybe it was 64, something like that. But it was in the 60 millions. It's more than $15 million a year. If we go get a Broderick Jones, we don't have to pay $15 million a year. If we go get a Brian Breesy, who's, I'm arguing now at this point with Jalen Carter putting on the weight, not doing testing, the character issues. Like, I think they're a lot closer in overall prospects. Obviously, the ceiling might be a little bit higher with Jalen Carter. But quite frankly, there's either way, we're going to be saving ourselves 15 to 20 million. A cornerback, we can go and get other cornerbacks. Right? Now, yes, one can argue that top cornerbacks are making that money. But we can go get a top cornerback next year. We don't really have that necessarily that need.
I got a question for you. What's going to be the very last move for you to know? And I know we're going to do the depth chart now soon, right?
Yeah.
But what's going to be the very last move in the free agent period to say, you know what? I now know what the Steelers are going to do or should do in the draft with 17 and 32. What's going to be the last move? If that makes sense.
I'll say two things. Like, are you saying for the first round draft pick or the overall draft?
Ooh, overall draft and pretty much the first and second pick. I just want to know, like,
okay. So for me, if they don't cut with a spoon, they're not. If they don't cut Akello with a spoon, right? Because we've been talking about Devin with a spoon. If they don't cut Akello with a spoon, they're not picking a cornerback in the first round of the draft, right? Okay. Now at second round, because there are some safeties available, right? If they re-sign Edmonds, that takes the whole, are you bringing in a Brian Branch? Are you bringing in Sidney Brown from Illinois, right? So, to me, if they don't sign defensive tackle or another tackle, and I don't think there's a tackle out there that's necessary for them to sign unless they do a trade with someone. Like, I don't want Lewan. Like, I'd rather them try and draft a first-round offensive. I'd rather them draft DeJuan Jones, probably 10 spots ahead of where he should be drafted, at 17, the guy out of Ohio State, the big guy, then bring in Taylor Lewan. Like, I want to get younger in the trenches, right? For me, the move, you asked me the move is bring in Edmonds back and not cutting a Kello, they're going defensive line every time.
Okay. I'd rather than bloody bring back Claypool to play left tackle than Taylor Lewan. I don't think that's going to happen because of the situation with him and TJ. But the reason why I brought that up, because I just looked at my news in my Twitter, and I'm on Twitter more than usual now. It's crazy. There was a signing here. CJ Gardner-Johnson is signing with the Lions. So that's a safety off the board, I guess. And maybe there's more links now.
That's very good for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll tell you why. Because I would argue that people would see Edmonds as a bit of a Lions fit, like Sutton, like a bit of a tough guy, big tackler. For him to go to the Lions takes a team that might be interested in Edmonds off the board. That's what I
was thinking. Like, look, there's one safety there. What's Edmonds going to do? Do the Steelers rework some more money and then go and sign into a big deal, right, or 3-year deal? And then you are right, when all these things kind of work out. And we know maybe in next week's Mad Monday, after another crazy week, we start to see the clearer picture of what the Steelers are probably going to do. And I trust your expert advice.